people in this room will probably like this. This is Michael Glennon. These were both of those books were recommended to me by Russ Vought, by the way. Everybody know who Russ Vought is? The old head of OMB under Trump? Yes. The Return of the Strong Gods and this one, National Security and Double Government, right? Now, I'm going to violate the 11th commandment, and it pains me to have to do this. But let me just put it this way. So far, I've just kind of described philosophically the high-level attack that's coming at us in the realm of ideas. It's also real in the economic realm, right? So 5 firms this week, 5 of the 7 magnificent 7 firms, it turns out, have 60% of the S&P market returns. 5 firms captured 60% of the S&P returns for this year. You with me on this? Yeah. 5 firms, you know who they are, right? It's the Googles and the Facebooks and the Amazons and all that, right? The big 5. Number 1, they're all monopolies. Number 2, they all own Congress, and they all own the Senate, and they own the think tanks. Trump is the one person standing between disaster and some reassemblage of this mess. And if that's not bad enough, well, what's that got to do with kitchen table or whatever? Well, what's that got to do with China? So, well, those 5 firms, the biggest institutional owners of those firms for all 5 are who? BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. You with me? So some people are like, well, that's fine. Those are just index funds. No big deal. No, they vote the shares. So think if BlackRock runs $10 trillion and he's voting $10 trillion of shares. One person. With me on this? So what's he doing? They're all doing DEI and ESG and alphabet soup and flying multicolor everything, right? So they're doing all this. So a young guy, friend, I met him a few years back, this Justin Danhoff, great guy, young lawyer. He bought a share of stock, went into BlackRock at their board meeting and said, hey, if you're into this ESG thing, the first letter is E for the environment. Right? And so you believe in the environment, that's great. I like the environment too. But why then, Mr. Fink, are you putting half your portfolio in China, which has the worst environmental record in the world? Yep. And same with the second letter, corporate governance, and the third, social do-gooder stuff. Right? Is China an authoritarian, totalitarian, surveillance state known for good corporate governance? Am I missing the memo there? Are they known for good deeds? Are they known for good environment? This is the little trick. Right? This is not a little trick, this is the big trick. These global forces, and it's hard because there's many of them, right? There's China, there's the Soros piece, there's the Euro folks, there's the Atlanticists, there's the defense establishment piece. This is a lot of firepower in the tens of trillions from each of those coming at us. And it's up to the American people to get this story straight. So before I get to this book, I'm just going to give you one headline from today. I hate to say it. Paul Ryan, it turns out, had the Steele dossier, headline today, Real Clear Politics, at the beginning of 2016 and used it to nuke Trump. And he didn't let anybody know that he had it. See? Right? So he made some of my buddies go out and do investigations for several years on this, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, and on and on and on. And so why do I bring this up? Does that violate, I don't bring it up to dog a Republican. That's the least thing on my mind. I do save the country. That violates all 6 of the planks in the Republican creed. It's devastating. Trump, this was 16, right? This was before he was given a chance to do anything. Since then, back under Trump, did we have 4 wars going on at the same time? We had 0. Did we have a massive administrative deep state coming after everybody? Yes, that's a true statement. Yeah, but not as bad. And then the border invasion, not near. Right? So that is devastating. And when you see something like that happen, you have to ask yourself, how can the Speaker of the House, how can that happen? And the answer is because of these globalist money pots, right? When you see something that makes no sense, it makes no sense, right? And so I'll just give you the final book is Glennon, National Security and Double Government. And, well, I'll read you a couple. Can you bear with me for about 3 more minutes? Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right, the bottom line, the point of this book is that us Madisonian people are idiots. I got a picture of James Madison in my office. Love him. It was an honor. I got to meet some of his family when I was in office. This is no knock on Madison, right? Separation of power, right? 3 branches of government and all this kind of thing. Footnote, Madison went to Princeton Seminary. And wrote a document called the Constitution. And the reason he separated powers is because, one reason, is because he was a graduate student and stuck around and studied. I got the room. What did he study? Has to do with human nature. Yes, Hebrew. Like that? How does my staff not know this? I've bored you with this same talk before that. They're just being humble. They're just being good. Right? So it turns out this book contrasts the Madisonians who are great in theory. It's like being for free markets right now. Am I for free markets? Yes. Do we have any? No. Joe Kennedy, my Democrat buddy, he was like a 30-year-old or whatever, he used to just pester me, hey, Brat, have you found a free market up here yet? No, very funny. They know, right? So if you think we're going to go back to some free market thing within the next decade or 2, it ain't going to happen. I want to get there, but we got to fix the institutions, like Peter Navarro talked, the basic structure of this country. And this guy gets at it. So the Madisonians have been faked out. Many people are complicit in the Madisonian fake out, like half of Congress or more than that. I'm being very Christian in that assessment. And so what's the alternative? It's what he calls the Trumanites. The 3-letter agencies that were created by Truman. I like Truman. It's not a knock on Truman. But these 3-letter agencies, the CIA, the FBI, the UN, the WHO, etc., are now the 4th pillar of government, and they're running the government. Yeah. Next week, that could come to a real crash because of what? Chevron. Who said that? A+. All right, you get A+. Right. But it's in Congress's interest not to take the tough votes, right? So we've ceded power to the executive. The Supreme Court doesn't want to deal with it. Some of it, in principle, they don't want to deal with it. Like Scalia, okay, I'm getting old, man. But he'll be very precise in his decisions on this kind of thing. But basically, these 3-letter agencies are running the world. Let me just give you a couple snippets and then I'm done yakking at you. How can you see that what I'm describing are these global forces, and these 3-letter agencies, and this talk, and these philosophical forces are at work? Here's one way. The Obama administration, beyond ending torture, has changed virtually none of the Bush administration's Central Intelligence Agency, CIA programs and operations, except that in continuing targeted killings, the Obama administration has increased the number of covert drone strikes in Pakistan 6 times the number launched during the Bush administration. This is not something you would expect from a liberal, right? So the point is, why does the foreign policy stay the way it stays? And just fast forward to today, Ukraine is the proxy for everything I'm talking about right here. Right? Just a cesspool of corruption and trillions of dollars that are in play. Right? How in the world is this going on when the polling is clear? 80% of American people don't want to fund it, deal with it. Then why is it happening? Because of this. Next, the Trumanite Network. The trained official, Bajo wrote I think Bajo was the editor of The Economist or something way back. The trained official, the three-letter agency people, hates the rude, untrained public, you. He thinks they are stupid, ignorant, restless. President Harry Truman, Secretary of State Dean Acheson, not renowned for bluntness, let slip his own similar assessment of America's electorate. If you truly had a democracy and did what the people wanted, he said, you'd go wrong every time. Acheson's views were shared by other influential foreign policy experts as well as government officials, thus emerged America's efficient national security institution. And I could go on and on. There's 200 pages of footnotes on this stuff, right? All about us, the grassroots, the Tea Party, the people who love America, and our betters just slap us upside the head and tell us we're stupid and that they know better. While they've spent the $20 trillion on endless wars that have gotten us nothing except our boys killed. What's the number dead in Ukraine? 500,000? 500,000 dead. Ukrainians, right? Russians, 50,000 or 100,000. Is that right? I can just run on and on and on. On Ukraine, let me give you 2 little data points on Ukraine just to clear up everyone's thinking on that one. The United States is for democracy. Okay, that's nice if you really mean it. In Ukraine, are we for democracy? No. We say we are, but we did a little coup d'etat on the head of Ukraine in 2014. Is that democratic? No. In 2022, Putin goes to Geneva or somewhere important and says, here's the peace plan. Right? Let's end this thing. Puts it on paper, peace plan. Who said no to that? United States. Right? So we're poking the Russian bear. We want to put stuff right up against in their, Monroe Doctrine buffer zone. They told us very clearly no. That's why they just shipped ships to Cuba. Right? That's what's going on. Right? No one wants any of this. None of this is good for the United States. So these couple books I'm just recommending to you to help you spread the word. Last one, I think, Open Confrontation calls into question both the expertise of the Trumanites as well as the seeming authority of the Madisonians. Open confrontation is good for neither, right? For the Madisonian institutions to challenge the Trumanite network publicly would entail an uncertain outcome and risk a loss of credibility for both. Right? So when you're scratching your head every day watching the news going, why doesn't the House go end this thing? How many of you have said that in the last week? Why doesn't the House go do this? Because there's a risk here, because when they go up against who they're going to go up against, there's going to be a food fight. And they both may lose. As occurred, and here's a couple exceptions to the rule, as when Truman fired MacArthur, oops, right, when Obama fired McChrystal, this is the Madisonian stuff that happened. Right? And when those things happen, when Congress actually does what it's supposed to do, when the executive does what it's supposed to do, everybody gets real nervous because both of these sides have been playing together for so long. Or when the Supreme Court gave the press the go-ahead to publish the top secret Pentagon papers, or when the Church Committee roughed up the CIA. Would anybody like to see the CIA roughed up today? The FBI? Why isn't that happening? We have 3 branches of powerful government that can do that. Why isn't that happening?
Yeah, 2 people and 1 uniparty.
That's
uniparty.
Right? Give it to you a few different ways. There's your book reports. In closing, I just want to say again, the most important part is I love Hanover. I love everyone in this room. I hope you all light this country up on fire. It's been an honor to be invited back to have a room show up and just be able to spend time with friends. Right? You're all true friends. Friends share the same goals, purposes, and my purpose is always up and in principle with you. And keep fighting for those, hold those in office accountable to every dot in every detail of what you want them to do. Write pieces in the paper, get on Reed's radio show, and fire it up. God bless all of you. Thank you very much.